All right, we're going to continue the progression with our visual motor activities and combine a few of the skills that we've previously learned. So what you're going to need for this activity is a glue stick, scissors, a marker or a pencil, either one, a ruler or some other straight edge, and probably 2 sheets of construction paper, preferably different colors. All right, so what I want to say about this activity is that when we're using the glue stick, a lot of times you'll see students will get the glue stick, even if they use a good tripod grasp for writing, they'll grab the glue stick and do like sort of this power this power grip, and they'll just kind of push it in there. But what I would encourage my students to do, and I would encourage you to have your students do this, is use that tripod grasp with the glue stick as well. Okay, want them to have control of it. Now, sometimes when the glue gets really low and you can't quite get the edge, they feel obligated to get over the top of it like that. But for the most part, they should be able to use a tripod grasp to spread their glue. Okay. What we're doing is we are building foundational skills for being able to do functional activities. So with these visual motor tasks, we haven't really done anything that results in a finished product. But you're going to see, I think today you're going to start seeing how you can merge some of these skills into some functional activities, some activities with themes to them, landscape pictures or holiday cards or whatever. You're building foundational skills for that through these activities. So let's go ahead and get to this one. All right, and what we're going to do first off is I want to have 2 lines. So you could actually turn your paper, in this landscape style where it's more horizontal than vertical, and you can make those lines to be vertical lines, or you can go this way, and then when you make those lines, they're just going to be horizontal lines. So students need to practice both of those. So it doesn't really matter which one you do, but I would say just go ahead and do 2 that are the same. All right, and like we did before, you could mark these spots. All right, and then you want to have your student control the ruler. And I think one thing that I didn't say about making horizontal and vertical lines before is that there is a definite preference for, as far as efficiency goes, the direction that you go when you're making these marks. So for instance, for a right-hander, if you're making horizontal lines, you want to pull in the direction of your hand. You don't want to push this way. So just the opposite with a left-hander, you'd want to pull towards your writing hand that way. So you'll pull to the other side. It just is a smoother motion. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this one. All right, and then just to demonstrate this part also on the vertical line. So on the vertical line, you want to go top to bottom rather than bottom to top. Okay, so you may see sometimes people make lines top and bottom, but if they're really efficient users, it's not a problem. But when you're learning, it's best to go top to bottom. Okay, the reason that's important, one of the main reasons that's important, is because when you start looking at how letters are formed, you want to create those horizontal lines and those vertical lines in that same direction. It's going to be more efficient when writing. So we've got these 2 lines, and now we're going to move to our scissors. Okay, so we've learned by now how we're supposed to hold the scissors, with the thumb in the small hole and these fingers over here, open hand, right? So we get the paper, and this time we're going to practice cutting all the way across the paper. So now it's not just cutting one time, but it's cutting and opening and cutting. And there is really a skill in staying on the line when you do that, because a lot of times a student will cut and close and then they lose where they are on the paper. So they have to learn to be steady with their cut. So I'm going to teach them to move their scissors forward and to not close them completely. What they'll do a lot of times, they'll close and then they're out, and all of a sudden they got to figure out how to get back in there. So if you could teach them to not cut all the way, slide the paper and cut. All right, that's what we want to do. I'm going to go ahead and cut this one really quickly so that we can do the rest of our activity. All right, so now what we're going to do is then we got these 3 sheets here, and what we're going to do is we're going to glue them onto our second piece of construction paper. So what I want to do, remember, with a glue stick, use that tripod grasp. Also, another thing that I want to mention is when you have tops and things like that, sometimes it may be hard for your student to open them. So you want to check on that, but you don't want to always open items for them. You want them to work on that. So when I give my students their glue stick, I give it to them with the top on. You know, when I have them use this thing for their writing utensils, I don't open the box for them. I put it in front of them, and they have to try to figure it out. If they get stuck, I'll come along and help them. But I want them to get used to taking care of those things for themselves. Okay, so we're going to open the glue stick, and we're going to put a line. Again, look at the direction I'm going. Same as if I were using a pencil, right? So make a line across the top, make a line across the bottom, and then we're going to make a line top to bottom, top to bottom. So there you go. You get a chance to practice your horizontal and vertical lines in another way. And then we want to just kind of line this up, try to match it to the bottom of the page as best you can. And sometimes it's not going to match up because the lines we cut are not perfect. You want to try to get it lined up to the bottom of the page as best you can. All right. And then I'm going to use one of these others, and what I'm going to do with it is I'm just going to put it just a little bit above here, and then I'm going to talk about an activity that I want to do later, but we're not going to really get into it a whole lot. So we're going to do, again, we're going to do the horizontal lines, use our tripod grasp. All right. Another thing you want to make sure you're in the habit of doing is encouraging the student to hold their paper for themselves. So if they start this activity and they're doing it like this and everything's slipping, don't reach in there and grab it for them. If you want to help them, get their other hand, their non-writing hand, involved in the process. So you move their hand over, and then they can support themselves. They can support their paper. All right, and there you go. All right, and then we're going to go, like I said, just a little bit above this. All right, and so that's kind of it's a good skill to have when you start wanting to do a lot of other activities. But the reason I wanted this little space in here, and I'll talk about this just for a second, though this is not the point of this activity, is that I really, with writing, especially with beginning writers, I want to begin to establish very clear boundaries. I want them to realize that there is a limitation to the space that they're using. So they could, if they're already a writer, they could write their name in here, or you can practice doing vertical lines that start at the top and stop at the bottom, and you can feel where you're supposed to stop. But if they are If they're already writing their, their names, this gives them good feedback about where to go. Okay, so I like that as an activity. Also, if we were doing something where we're just pre-writing and we're just drawing, by having this boundary, you say, all right, let's make a tree. So you make your tree right there, and then let's do the top of the tree up in the sky. So you make a circle up there. All right. So it just gives you good feedback because you have that contrast with the different levels. All right. Well, that's going to be it for this activity. I think it has a lot of potential to go in a lot of different directions, and the more your kids do these activities, the more different things they're going to be able to do. So so keep working at it, keep plugging away, and I'll see you guys on the next one. All right.